Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content and $7 Productions.
The Sumerian goddess Inanna is the mighty goddess of love, war, life, and death. Everyone bows to her. Except for one specific mountain. Mount Ebbe refuses to bow to Inanna. She orders the mountain to bow to her and kiss the ground. Mount Ebbe refuses. Mount Ebbe disrespects Inanna. Clearly, Inanna needs to show the mountain who's boss. She strings her bow. She sharpens her blade. She sends hurricane winds whirling with debris and righteous indignation. She strides up to the mountain. She digs in her heels in the very ground that Mount Ebbe refused to kiss. She lets out an ear-splitting yell and grabs the mountain by the neck. She wrestles the mountain to the ground. Mount Ebbe, she yells, you disrespected me. Eat dirt. I will grind you into the ground and kneel on your neck until your face is covered in tears. Mount Ebbe, may the bleak bird of heartbreak nest in your shadows. That is the great goddess Inanna, the Babylonian goddess of death, life, and body-slamming mountains.
Hello, and welcome back to Badass of the Week. My name is Ben Thompson, and this is the show where we tell the badass history of badasses. I'm joined today by, because we were doing a myth, I obviously have to be joined by my mythological co-host, Dr. Pat Larash. Pat, this is going to be a fun episode.
Oh, yeah.
We are talking about somebody that, we recently had Dr. John Bucher from the Joseph Campbell Foundation on, and he came on to talk about Gilgamesh. And Pat, you really wanted to be on that show.
Yeah.
I
couldn't make it, but I enjoyed listening to it.
Yes, you did. And I remember when we were talking about doing it, we're like, oh, well, this time works. And I think we kind of have to record it at this time for the schedule to work out. You had a conflict, weren't able to make it, and you were like, okay, but don't talk about Inanna's descent to the Underworld, because I want to tell that story. We'll do it as a bonus episode after. And then we started the recording. I was like, okay, don't worry about it. I don't even know what Inanna's descent into the Underworld is. I'm not going to talk about it without you. And then like within 10 minutes of the episode beginning, John mentioned it, and he was like, well, that's like the Inanna's descent to the Underworld, which is also a badass like side quest. And I was like, no, sorry, but we can't talk about this one yet. We got to hold on to this one. We have to do it. We're going to do it as a bonus episode. And then you and me started planning that bonus episode, and we decided that this character is so badass that she actually probably should just be her own full Badass of the Week episode.
Yeah. She's Ishtar, the Queen of Heaven, also known as Inanna, the Queen of Heaven.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And so I guess, John came on to do the Epic of Gilgamesh. And so I guess this is Gilgamesh 2. I feel like that should be the title for this episode, Gilgamesh 2.
Gilgamesh 2, yeah. Except it's a lot of it is not actually about Gilgamesh. And it's kind of a prequel in some ways, actually.
It is. It's a prequel because Inanna not only predates Gilgamesh, she is responsible for his destruction and persists beyond him. So This is kind of like the prequel's good, but it also is a sequel, I guess. So we are going to talk about Inanna and Ishtar. She's the goddess of fertility and birth and life and death. And it has a very active hand in all of these things. Most history books will probably tell you that civilization started in the Fertile Crescent with things like irrigation and taxation and the wheel. But if you ask the people who lived in Mesopotamia 5,000 years ago, who was really running the show, like what's the most important thing in your society right now, they probably would have not even mentioned their own king. They'd point to the morning star over the ziggurats, and they would whisper the name of Ishtar. And we're going to talk about her today. So Ishtar is, we're relying, Pat, you and me, we always like to talk about the texts. We always like to talk about the primary source material because you're a classicist. I'm a sort of a historian, I guess, but I don't know if this classifies, but we do like to talk about primary sources.
Yes. Yeah. It's nice to know where things come from. And it's kind of cool knowing that we can look at, through the magic of, translation and publication, texts from several thousand years ago. And some of the texts that we're relying on, that we're using as sources for these badass myths, are hymns written by the first author whose name we know in history. So these are texts that are actually signed by or accredited to the priestess Enheduanna.
Wow. So it just in all of human history, this is the first person who signed their name to a thing they wrote or had it attributed to them.
It's the first document that survives with someone's name. I mean, maybe Enheduanna's predecessor also did it, but also signed her name, but not everything survives. But of the things that we have, this is the oldest, the first signed author.
The first recognized author in history is a woman. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only is she's an author, she's a woman, that's cool. She's a priestess of Inanna, which is
so
another name
for
about. Ishtar. Oh my goodness, yes, yeah. And as we'll quote a little bit from the hymns. And can you imagine this is your day job?
Right, yeah. Because the priest, we're going to get into a little bit of like what the worship of Inanna was like, but it's intense. It's very, I don't know, this predates Old Testament, but this is old school. This is some Sumerian stuff here. So she has written we have several of her texts survive. The Exaltation of Inanna and Enki, that story, the Descent of Inanna. And like you said, we're going to quote these later, but they read like heavy metal songs. Inanna rides on a chariot pulled by 7 lions and wields a mace with 7 heads. I'm picturing like a flail, like was spinning like a helicopter blades as a flail. Inanna will later become Ishtar, who is like the Babylonian goddess. Ishtar becomes softer in the mythology later on, but only marginally. Ishtar is still also the storm of heaven who brings the bull of heaven down to like annihilate the earth in our Gilgamesh episode. She's the morning star and the evening star. And I read something that said maybe she was the origin of the word star, like Ishtar was the origin of the word star. You said that might not be true though.
It might not be true. It is true that the word star and the word Ishtar do sound very similar. I don't think linguistically it actually works out. But it is a cool story and it's a cool association. And poetically, spiritually, you want to associate her with stars. That's great. And she is definitely associated with what we call the planet Venus, which is, that's cool.
Yeah. It's so the brightest star in the sky, we call it Venus.
Yeah.
Ishtar, we will see, is kind of related to Venus. We're going to deal with that towards the end of the episode, but that's another interesting
Except I don't know of any myths where the goddess Venus in like Roman or Greek mythology rides a chariot driven by 7 lions.
Yeah.
I think that's all Ishtar. That's all Inanna.
Yeah, Inanna is badass. She rises from the dead. She's responsible for all life brought into the world. Entire civilizations in Assyria and Babylon and Mesopotamia, Sumer, were conquered in her name. She steals the literal blueprints of heaven from all knowledge of the universe during a drinking game. She threatens to, in the Gilgamesh episode, she threatens to trigger a zombie apocalypse because a guy called her a bad name. So, she is badass. She dominates. Many empires were forged in her name. And then when she later gets bored of Earth, there's a story where she goes down to stage a hostile takeover of hell. So we're going to talk about all this, and it is going to be really metal. So if you want to stick with us, this is Badass of the Week, and we're going to talk about a badass death, war, murder, kill goddess. So stick with us. All right, welcome back. We are talking about Ishtar, or Inanna. And in order to understand her, we need to first talk about the world that she was created in. So we're talking 3000 BCE. So ancient Sumeria, like basically the dawn of the written word. She's known as Inanna in Sumeria. Later on, when the Babylonians and the Assyrians come in, they will call her Ishtar. They're similar but different. She's a goddess of love, birth, and death. You can think like Isis, Aphrodite a little bit, maybe Freya. We see some of these goddesses who are it's called like the triple goddess, where they're responsible for all three of these things. But it's all basically based around Ishtar because she's the earliest one of them. She's the oldest record we have of any goddess having this role. So in Sumeria, she's Inanna. And depending on who you ask, she's either the daughter of the sky god Anu or the moon god Nana. And Pat, she's tough.
She is. Yes, there's absolutely no doubt about this. The first story we have about her involves her wrestling a mountain range to its knees, basically because the mountain range disrespected her.
That's pretty tough.
Yeah. So this is from a hymn from the priestess Enheduanna, and it's among the oldest writings we have on Inanna. Basically, the Mount Ebbe insults her, so she destroys it. But I want to quote it a little bit.
We have to quote some of this stuff because it's amazing.
So this is, there are several translations available. This one is by Betty de Chong-Meador. And it gives you a feel for Inanna and how the priestess Enheduanna was channeling Inanna energy. Lady of blazing dominion, clad in dread, riding on fire-red power, Inanna, holding a pure lance, terror folds in her robes, flood, storm, hurricane adorned. She bolts out in battle, plants a standing shield on the ground. Great Lady Inanna, battle planner, foe smasher, you rain arrows on enemies, set strength against foreigners, lion roar across heaven, on earth, bodies struck, flesh cut, wild bull hooves planted, battle ready against foe.
That sounds intense.
She is intense.
This is definitely, and the way that it's written, because it's epic poetry, it's written so it looks like song lyrics. Like this could definitely be a Megadeth song.
Yeah, I mean, it may very well. I mean, it's from a hymn, so it may very well have been chanted or to musical accompaniment, and maybe there was. Maybe there was a drum,
For sure, there's probably a drum, right? There's got to be drums involved here. Pretty badass. But she's also, in addition to being battle ready against foe, bolts out in battle, flood, storm, hurricane, she's also intelligent and wise.
Oh, but of course.
And so,
do you even need to?
Of course, she's good at everything. We're going to learn that she's good at everything. Actually, let's tell the story of how she became good at everything. She became good at everything by tricking the god of wisdom into teaching her the secrets of the universe. And I think it's because she got him drunk, right?
Oh, yeah. She totally gets him drunk.
Totally outwits the smartest guy in the universe by being like, hey, you want a drink?
Yeah. And in one version, Enki, the god of wisdom, is actually her father. This is mythology, so let's roll with that for this, whatever. Yeah.
It's like comic books. I always talk, whenever we talk about this stuff with mythology, I think about comic books where it's like, who was Wolverine's dad? Well, it depends on whether you're talking Uncanny X-Men or regular. There's always different stories for everything. Everybody has different origin stories. The movie version is different from the comic version. Ancient, this is 5,000 years ago, so there has been a lot of time to rewrite the backstory.
Yeah. And with mythology, sometimes it's more important to get different figures that represent particular vibes together in a story. Mm-hmm. And if it means shuffling up the details on paper, we can do that. So Inanna and Enki are drinking beer. And I'll quote here. Enki and Inanna drank beer together, They drank more beer together. They drank more and more beer together. I should say sometimes these ancient texts, like by convention, they're kind of repetitive. And I think that was to, these were delivered orally. The repetition is part of building it up. It reads like a children's book.
It does kind of read like Cat in the Hat, yeah.
except instead of eating apples and oranges, they drank beer together. They drank more beer together. They drank more and more beer together. With their bronze vessels filled to overflowing, with the vessels of Urash, mother of the earth, they toasted each other. They challenged each other.
Oh, it's a drinking contest. It's not just, she didn't just show up with like a bottle. She challenged him to like a drinking contest.
Yes.
And won,
and they
presumably.
Yeah. So they toast each other 14 times, and each time, Enki grants Inanna more of the meh.
The meh.
Yeah, the meh. This is a word. It's it's actually kind of the opposite of meh. It's a word that means divine power or ability, often represented by some sort of object. So I'll just list some examples. And this list is just a fraction of the entire list of meh that gets listed in this hymn. Okay, so Inanna is speaking and she says, "My father has given me the meh. He gave me the high priesthood. He gave me godship. He gave me the noble, enduring crown. He gave me the throne of kingship. He gave me truth. He gave me the art of lovemaking. He gave me the art of song. He gave me the art of the hero. He gave me the art of treachery. He gave me the art of straightforwardness. He gave me the plundering of cities. He gave me the craft of the woodworker. He gave me the craft of the copper worker, etc., 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 almost ad infinitum."
And so the meh is not like, meh, I'm good at this. This is something you write on your character sheet.
Oh, yeah. You write on your character sheet. You totally put it on your LinkedIn profile. Like earlier in the episode, Ben used the phrase blueprints of the universe. And this, it kind of is. Like these are the underpinnings of human experience and civilization. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lovemaking, song, treachery, plundering of cities, and woodworking. She's the master of all of those.
And copperworking.
Yes, and copperworking, yes.
Yeah, you can't forget the copperworking. So Enki grants her dozens upon dozens of these meh. And Enki, he says to his assistant, Isamud, he says, hey, and remember, he has toasted with beer 14 times. So he's, hey, Isamud, make sure Inanna gets home safely with all her stuff. So they load these dozens upon dozens of meh on a boat so she can sail back from the city where her father is back to her own city, Uruk, with the meh.
Oh, right, because this is not, you said it's represented by an item. So it's not just, it's like a headband of charisma or something, right? It's not just, it's not just that you know how to do woodworking now. It's like you need to have this thing, this magic item that makes you like the best woodworker that ever lived. But you have to kind of like, you have to put these gloves on in order to do the woodworking because it's tied to that. And so now she has just a chariot full, or it's a boat. She has a boat full.
It's a literal boatload.
She has a literal boatload of magic items that she needs to transport by herself. And she's also toasted 14 times, presumably.
Yeah, so she's pretty toasted, yeah. And it takes a while. I actually haven't measured this in real life, but at least in the world of this myth, it takes a while for the boat to get from Enki's city to Uruk, Inanna's city. So next morning, Enki wakes up with the world's biggest hangover. We are not surprised. He also wakes up with regrets. He calls over his assistant. He says, isn't it? Whoa.
I've been there, buddy.
There. Do you have any aspirin? Where's my crown?
What happened to my meh?
Where's my priestship? Where's my godship? Where's my copperworking?
Oh, the ship was magic that he sent her off on. My magic boat. I had the keys were right here. You gave him to Inanna. No. Oh, did I?
So
we've talked about this before, but like humans never change. Like we talked about this with like the Gilgamesh episode, where it's like it's weird to think that like our great grandfather was thinking about like booze and sex, right? Like,
Yeah.
people haven't changed in 5,000 years. It's weird to think about that in the past, but this is the kind of story that we get here. Okay, so he wakes up, he's hungover, and all of his meh is gone.
Yes. So he is feeling pretty meh at the moment.
Yeah.
And so Isamud, his assistant, because apparently in Mesopotamia, gods have assistants. Isamud says, Your Majesty, I got to be blunt. You drunk bestowed all of your meh on Inanna. She piled them onto a boat, and she is now sailing away with them to her city.
You were the god. Says, you were the god of wisdom, and now you're the god of hangovers, and not much else.
So Enki says, "Okay, Isamud, can you get them back?" And Isamud is a good assistant. He tracks the journey on Google Maps or whatever the equivalent was, and he figures out where they're stopping along the way. There's several little towns, little ports where they stop. So he calculates where they're probably going to be, and he sends some wild-haired Enkum creatures after Inanna on her boat. What are these? They're wild-haired Enkum creatures. They're monsters. These Enkum creatures catch up with Inanna on her boat, and they grab the boat that's piled up with all the meh. So Inanna also has an assistant named Ninshibur. Okay, what do you think Ninshibur does, Ben?
I don't know. Having been an assistant, so that was my job. That was my career for like 20-something years. I was an administrative assistant, and I definitely feel like, he did give these things to her. Of his, he can't really take them back. He gave them to her, so they're hers now. And I definitely think this is a situation where, as an assistant, you would walk up and be like, "Excuse me, sir. I don't think you're allowed to be here. I would need to see some credentials." Did you fill out the appropriate paperwork?
Well, yeah. Did you fill out the appropriate clay tablets?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you get this written in cuneiform on a?
Mm-hmm. So, okay. So she actually kind of does that. Ninshibur, except she does. Okay, Ben, you used a very professional tone of voice. You used your phone voice. Ninshibur does the opposite. What she does is, I'm not making this up, this is what the text says. She sliced the air with her hand. She uttered an earth-shattering cry. The Enkum creatures were sent hurtling back to Eridu, Enki's city.
I mean, that sounds more badass than being like, "I'm sorry, I don't think you have the clearance to be in here. You need a specialized password. Like, you're gonna have to go. Like, I cannot allow you to come in here. I'm sorry, she's in a meeting. She can't talk right now."
Yeah.
And then they have to go back and be like, "I don't know, earth-shattering cry."
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I was capable of. I never escalated to the degree where I had to slice the air with my hand to make people.
But you probably wanted to at some point.
I've definitely wanted to many times.
Yeah.
So they leave. So her assistant comes through. Yes.
Are things over? No. So back in Enki's city, these wild-haired Enkum creatures come back without the stuff. And Isamud's like, "Okay, got to do this again." So he sends not wild-haired Enkum creatures, he sends a different type of monster, 50 flying Uru giants. And he sends them after the boat, and he figures out where their second dock is to get, I don't know, bubblegum and pretzels or whatever. And the 50 flying Uru giants grab the boat. What do you think happens?
I feel like this is one of those mythology things where they do the same thing like 3 or 4 times. Nishapur cuts the air with her men, tells them they got to go, and casts them back to the, we're going to do this.
Yep.
Set up for a joke. Set up, maintain, punchline.
Well, yeah, she goes, like, I don't know, what is this, like a divine karate chop or something? And she yells them back to where they came from. Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay, Isamud has several other species of monsters up his sleeve. So he sends, a bevy of monsters again, a third time, same thing. 4th, 5th, 6th. It happens a total of 7 times. And Isamud sends yet another group of fantastical creatures, and Ninshibur basically yells them back. Finally, the boat gets to Uruk, to Inanna's city. She gets people to unload the meh. I imagine Ninshubur probably directing them, And Inanna, she is the patron goddess of Uruk. They have a big temple to her and everything. And she presents the meh to the people of Uruk. Look at all of these amazing powers and abilities I am collecting on your behalf, my people of Uruk.
And Uruk is the capital of Sumeria. Uruk is the capital of ancient Sumeria. So this is like the origins. This is the Romulus and Remus or the Aeneid. This is like the origin story of Uruk. That's where Gilgamesh was from. So this is she's kind of founding the most powerful city on Earth by doing this.
Yes. So they unload all of the meh from the boat that Inanna had gotten from Enki, and she also has some additional meh as well. I have no idea where they came from. Some of them are musical, this type of drum, that type of drum, this, that, and the other type of tambourine.
The drums, we knew it.
She also, she also brings, allure and the art of women and the placing of the garment on the ground, which...
Nice.
Okay, she's the goddess of love.
She's the goddess of, you got to propagate the species.
Yeah, yes. And then she also brings the perfect execution of the meh. There's a meh that's about the perfect execution of the meh.
It's the instruction manual. It's how to use the meh. I've got all these meh. I don't know where to put the batteries.
Yeah. So she's got all this. She has bestowed the meh upon Uruk for the benefit of Uruk citizens. And then finally, Enki gets in touch with Inanna. So what do you think Enki says to Inanna?
So Enki has all this stuff stolen. Inanna has used this to create Uruk, and he calls her up on the phone. I don't know. He's just sent 7 groups of horrifying monsters to try to capture the stuff back. But he does kind of seem to like her. I definitely think he's going to ask for his stuff back, right?
Well, okay. You'd think, that's what I would do. But he is the god of wisdom, so maybe he knows something we don't. Enki says, "In the name of my power, in the name of my holy shrine, let the meh you have taken with you, Inanna, remain in the holy shrine of your city. The people of Uruk are allies of the people of Eridu, his city. Let the city of Uruk be restored to its great place."
Okay. So he's like, he tried to steal it back. It didn't work. And he's like, just keep it. Of course. Like, hey, we're friends, right? We were buddies. I'm going to forget. Yeah. I'm going to just assume that you had good intentions when you came over here and got me drunk and stole all my stuff or convinced me to give you all my stuff.
Is that wisdom? I have no idea. Is that how the story goes? Yes.
Yeah, but now Uruk likes Enki too, so that worked out for him. It's a good PR move
true.
At that point. You can't get your stuff back. You might as well just go with it at that point.
Yeah.
And so that is kind of the origin story of the Sumerians. And centuries go by in the Fertile Crescent, and the Sumerians make way for the Babylonians, and Inanna persists. Now, the Babylonians call her Ishtar. And this is where she's riding a chariot pulled by 7 lions and fighting with a mace that literally levels mountain ranges. She's a goddess of death in Babylon. And then when the Assyrian Empire comes in and becomes what is, up until now, the biggest empire in human history, she is the goddess of death for the Assyrians. And I mention this because the Assyrians are pretty brutal characters. We're talking the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. So we're talking basically present day Iraq, but like the beginnings of, the Fertile Crescent, the beginnings of like, European, Eurasian civilization. And so one of these Assyrian kings was a guy named Ashurnasirpal II. And he would pray to Ishtar for victory. And when he would get it, he decorated his ziggurats with the flayed skins of his enemies to reward, to say thanks for her help.
Most of us would just use vinyl siding, but okay.
Yeah. Quote, "I flayed as many nobles as had rebelled against me and draped their skins over the pile. Some I spread out within the pile, some I erected on stakes upon the pile, and some I draped over the pile on stakes." Okay, it's important to differentiate these things. I flayed many right through my land and draped their skins over the walls. This is Ashurnazirpal. He's an Assyrian. This is chariots, Bronze Age, swords, chariots, spears. They're carving out a big empire here and killing anyone who disagrees with them.
I see what you did there.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are, but Ishtar is the goddess of, she's like the main god of the Assyrians. And she's the one that leads them to victory in battle. And these guys are pretty tough. So Ishtar's, her mythology continues to develop throughout the Babylonian and Assyrian age as well. And she's the goddess of fertility and life, and she does eventually get married, right?
She does, yes. And who is a worthy consort of Ishtar, So
Great Lady Inanna, battle planner, foe smasher, rain arrows on enemies, strength against foreigners.
Yeah.
Who can handle that?
Yeah. So, so let's talk about her courtship of her husband, Dumuzi. So there's an implied spoiler right there. Yes, her husband is named Dumuzi. So Inanna is thinking that she would like a partner, and she would like a farmer. And some of her family members are saying, oh, you should check out this Dumuzi guy. But he's a shepherd. And I kind of wonder if there are hints of the same rivalry between Cain and Abel in the Bible.
One's
a shepherd,
I didn't think about that.
One's a farmer. And in
I feel like
the
marry
hymn,
God, though, honestly.
well, okay,
at least some great hero or something.
Yeah, as opposed to, shepherd or a farmer.
I mean, nothing against shepherds and farmers, but if you're the goddess, of death, I feel
this is not how we would profile Inanna. But those opposites attract. Who knows? But Inanna / Ishtar
conquering all this land. She needs to plant some seeds there, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the one mess she didn't get was potato farming. So okay, but she's got this shepherd now that she likes.
Yes. Yeah, he woos her. He offers, yes, he convinces her that various types of wool are actually good. He can also offer nice creamy milk and honey cheese, which honestly sounds kind of good.
Mm-hmm.
So, and her mom says, she actually listens to her mom. She says, oh, you should go for this shepherd. He's a nice guy. So, so Inanna goes for Dumuzi. And in the hymn where this is described, all of a sudden we get into all of this imagery of gardens and orchards blossoming and becoming fertile, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's great. So it works out.
It works out.
So
yes.
They like each other.
Yes, it's a very poetic and also very steamy encounter between them.
I like it. That's how you had to do. That's how you had to do like erotic fiction in that time period.
Yeah.
There's bunnies and flowers and stuff. Springtime. Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of the seasons, that's where we get one of the more famous stories about Ishtar / Inanna. And I think we should probably get into this story because this is the one that set up the whole thing. This was the one that when we had John on, he was like, we should do that's like a badass origin story for Inanna. So let's talk about Inanna's descent into the underworld. And that is also, I guess, related to the seasons. So, so Inanna has an older sister, Ereshkigal. And Ereshkigal makes those Assyrian emperors look like they're applying for kindergarten programs.
Oh, no. Wow.
Yeah, she is. So Inanna is the goddess of war and death and like honor and like combat and slaying your enemies on the battlefield and whatever, rivers of blood, storms, hurricanes, all that stuff. Ereshkigal is her sister, and she's the goddess of the people who are already dead. So she's cold, decaying death, like, just being sick and just after you're dead. Yeah. Ishtar's war and Ereshkigal is the grave. So, yeah.
Wow.
And so the story goes that Inanna wants to go to the underworld. And Pat, we have no idea why, right?
Yeah. Sibling rivalry. Does she want to take over? I mean, Ben, earlier you described this as a hostile takeover of hell. And you know what? Let's just roll with that.
It's entirely
She's determined
possible.
to do this.
Yes,
Yeah.
she is going down to hell to visit her sister, and it's not a personal visit.
Yeah. This is not just some polite tea party.
Yes. So she puts on all of this meh that she's been finding, a lapis necklace, breastplate, royal robe, all these magic items, all these symbols of her meh. And she brings her assistant with her because, of course, if you're going to go down to hell, you're going to have to bring your assistant. She's good at shouting down demons.
Yes. Yeah. This is Ninshubur. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So to go to the underworld, and you remember Nishabur had to shout down monsters 7 times. I mean, 3 guesses how many gates there are you have to go through to get down to hell. There's 7. You have to go through 7 gates to get into hell. And
yeah. So yeah, like put that on your mythology bingo card.
Yeah, it means something. It's definitely some numerology happening here. So to get to the underworld, you have to go through these 7 gates, and each one's guarded by a sentry. And, most people go down to the underworld because they're dead and they have to. But Ishtar's going down because she wants to speak to the manager. So when she shows up at the first gate, the gatekeeper is somebody named Neti, and she smashes the door and she yells, "Open the door or I will smash the bolts."
Ooh.
That's how she announces herself at the gates of hell. Bang, bang, bang.
She doesn't ring the doorbell. She doesn't text ahead.
Nope.
Okay. Bang, bang, bang. Okay. Does Neti let her in?
He does, but he's like, the rules, because he calls his boss, right? And he calls Ereshkigal, and he's like, what do I do? And she's like, well, if she wants to come visit, she can come visit, but the rules. And this it makes me think of like putting coins on the eyes to like pay Charon to cross the river Styx. In order to pass through a gate of hell, you have to leave something behind. So she has to take off one garment or one piece of jewelry, some piece of her meh. She has to take it off before she can pass through that gate. So she does this, and she does this through the 2nd gate. The 3rd gate will spare you
she takes away the necklace of lapis lazuli. She takes away the breastplate. She takes away the royal robe. And these are all mess, so they have powers contained in them.
Yes, they're magic items. And so she gives all these items away to the 7 judges, or the 7 gatekeepers. And by the time she gets to the throne room, she's given away a lot of her powers. Now she's mostly naked at this point when she gets down there. And she enters the throne room of hell, where her sister sits on the throne surrounded by 7 judges. And they say, you shouldn't be here. And she's like, basically, I'm taking over. And they just kill her on the spot. Her sister...
Wait, they kill her?
Yes.
Like, she's a goddess.
She's a goddess,
and they kill her.
But she's given up all of her powers to come down there. She sticks to her guns. She's like, hey, I should be in charge here. And the story goes, 60 diseases fly from Ereshkigal's mouth, and she turns the eyes of death upon Inanna. And the 60 diseases fly into her mouth, and she gets all sick, and she gets the eyes of death, and she's dead. And Ereshkigal hangs her dead body on a meat hook in hell.
Oh.
Now,
wow.
Usually that's how the story ends.
I mean, there's no coming back from this, right?
You wouldn't think. But
wait.
We're going to see what happens with this. We're going to take a really quick break. And when we come back, we're going to find out what happens to how's Ishtar going to get out of this one? She's dead hanging on a meat hook.
She's dead, and also like she's like full of diseases and her body's decaying, and she doesn't have any of her, like, she had to lock her cell phone in the cell phone caddy. That's what I make my students do.
Oh, nice. Right. Yeah, leave a message in the comments how you would get out of this situation if you were dead hanging on a meat hook.
Yes.
Okay, we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We are currently in hell.
Yes.
Now, Ishtar's dead, and she's dead for real. But, Pat...
This is not the end of the story.
This is not the end of the story. And why?
And Ishtar's not the only, Ishtar's not the only person who made this trip down to the underworld. She's got her assistant, the intrepid Ninshubur.
Yes.
Who is very, very competent.
You really... It's really hard to find a competent assistant.
Yeah.
And when you find them, you should be nice to them.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay, so Ninshubur is down here. I imagine she's not going to try to shout at the goddess of death or the underworld goddess.
No, but I would like to be there if that ever happens.
Right. So what does Ninshubur do?
Well, she's not going to be yelling. Okay. Well, does she ask for help?
Yes. So
does she Google it? Does she Google the situation?
She says, okay. She goes to the gods. She leaves. Like she's there, but she sees her boss die. And she's like, all right, I've got to do something about this. So she goes to the gods and are like, hey, Ereshkigal killed Inanna and is hanging her from a meat hook. That's messed up. We got to do something about this. And the gods, she's got the Babylonian Mount Olympus, and they're all just like, Inanna went looking for trouble, and she found trouble, and now she's dead. So she kind of got what she was looking for.
Yeah.
But help comes from a pretty interesting place, because one of the gods is like, okay, I think maybe I can help. And that god is the only other god that we've named so far in the story, and it's Enki, the god of wisdom, who, despite being played by Inanna, it was probably a really fun party to toast 14 times and hang out. You get so drunk that he gave all of his meh away to Inanna. It was probably a really fun time. He probably likes her.
But now the meh are lying in a pile in the underworld.
That's not going to work. So, okay, what's he going to do? He decides, okay, I will create two creatures. He's got this infinite army of weird monsters. So Enki pulls out the Kurgara and the Galator, which are two, they're creatures, but they're weird creatures. They're undefinable weird creatures.
Yeah, we'll just call them the Kurgara and the Galator and leave the rest to your imagination, I guess.
Right. They have no gender, which matters for traveling down into the underworld. And there's something about this where like them not having gender helps them. They don't have to leave garments and stuff at the gates. They can go right through.
Okay.
They fly, but they're small. They're not very powerful. But the ability that they have is their ability to empathize. And so they go down to the underworld and they go to Ereshkigal's throne room. And Ereshkigal is, as much as she's this terrifying, death goddess Nurgle kind of thing, she has to deal with the weight of all of the dead piling up in hell around her and the sorrow and the suffering of these dead people. And when they go down there and they find her, she's groaning from the weight of the dead. And these two characters, the Kurgara and the Galator, they're like, what are we going to do? So they just sit with her. And they just groan with her when she's like, oh, this sucks. They're like, oh my God, it sucks so bad. And when she cries out in pain, they cry out in pain. And they just kind of like, they're like, hey, must really suck being the death goddess. This actually seems like a really hard job. Nobody really seems to appreciate you. Everybody's scared of you, but like you're doing an important work and it's not easy.
Yeah.
And she decides okay, I like these guys. And then she asks them,
they validate her emotions.
Right.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, what do you want? Like, what can I do to help you? And they're like, well, you see that dead body hanging on that meat hook over there? I mean, not that one, behind that one, this one over there. Third meat hook from the right. I'm
imagining those tags like at a dry cleaner.
Right.
Like in one of those spinny things.
034.
Yeah.
So they're like, can we have that body? And she's like, oh, I see okay, fine, whatever. I offered, you said it. I get you. Yeah. You got me. You can have it. So they take the body.
Can we hang out again sometime?
Mm-hmm. They take the body. Yeah. They put the water of life on it, and Inanna comes back. Oh, right. In this universe, the water of life is the thing that can bring you back from the dead. We forgot to mention that up until now, but that exists, and these guys have it. So they put it on Inanna, and she comes back.
Yeah.
And so Inanna's like, all right, I'm alive. I'm out of here. And Ereshkigal and the rest of the gods are like, no, like you're dead. If you're going to leave and you have the power to leave, I guess we can't stop you. But if you're going to leave, there's a rule and someone needs to replace you.
So they have the same body count.
Right. You got to balance the balance the budget or something.
Whatever.
Balance the ledger.
Yeah. Okay.
It's gonna be off by one forever. It's gonna be miserable.
No.
Can't allow this.
Okay. Yeah. So now she has a new quest, which is find someone to replace her
Yes. So
in the world of the dead on a meat hook.
right. Well, she's off the meat hook now, and
Yeah.
she's getting ready to go back to the surface. And she starts putting her gear back on, and she passes back through those gates. And at every gate, she puts that piece of man back on. And by the time she leaves hell, she is full power, fully charged, and joined by a group of demons called the Gala, who don't eat, drink, or sleep. And these Gala are sent with her to find someone to drag back to hell to take her place.
Okay.
So she goes into hell, kind of gets humbled a little bit. This is her own hero's journey, right? Then she comes back, and when she comes back, she's like got an army of demons with her, and she's more powerful than ever.
Yeah.
And the underworld wants their corpse. She's going to find it. So she goes around and starts looking for somebody to take her place. And the first person
How
they
do you
see,
choose someone like this?
I know, it's cool, right?
Yeah. Okay. So the first person they see.
Yeah, they leave hell, and they storm out, and the first person standing there waiting for them is the assistant.
Ninjabur. Ninjabur, the super
she's there,
competent.
and she's like, Anana, you did it. I got you help. Like, oh, I'm so glad to see you. And the Gala are like, the Gala don't know anything, right? They're from hell.
Yeah.
They're with her. And they're like, what about her? And she's like, no. And Anna's like, no, not her. She's cool. She got us out of here. She's been mourning me. So they keep following her. She storms back to Uruk. They see her son is there. And her son is like, oh, Mom, you're okay. I thought you were dead. The Gala are like, what about that guy? She's like, no. He's dressed in rags. He's clearly been mourning me. He's clearly sad that I was dead. We can't take my son. So then she keeps storming through Uruk, and they're looking at all the regular citizens of Uruk, all the regular people, but they're all dressed in rags, and they're all mourning her because she's the goddess, she's their protector, she's their patron. She brought all of the Met to Uruk and shared them with the people, like the copper working and the tambourine and whatever. Mm-hmm. They love her. Right.
Yeah,
she gave them...
Of course they're going to miss her.
Yeah, she gave them sex and hanging corpses on ziggurats and copper working. Like, what's not to like?
You like to do. Yeah.
And so they, every person in the city has been mourning her, and the Gala keep being like, what about her? She's like, no, you can't. I'm not going to take somebody who's been mourning me. And she storms back into her throne room, into her castle. She enters the throne room. And
oh no, she's there's a real possibility that everyone has missed her so much that she can't find anyone to take her place.
Well, that's a possibility, but that's not what happens. She storms into the throne room, and guess who's sitting on her throne?
Hubby?
The husband.
Dumuzi. Okay, well, so he's sitting on the throne.
Who is dressed like a king, who is kind of lounging on the chair, drinking beer, wearing nice clothes. And he sits up when he sees her, and he's like, Ishtar, you weren't supposed to come back until Thursday. And she just points at him and is like, get him.
Dumuzi.
Yeah. Wrong place, wrong time. He's grabbed, and you're up, buddy. He goes down to the underworld. He's there for part of the year, but he's able to. This is where we get it. This is the origin of the seasons. He's there for some of the time, but eventually he's able to convince his sister to switch places with him half the year. Okay. So when he's on Earth, he can share time with, I don't know, but this is where the seasons come from. This is Orpheus and Eurydice, or the Mayan hero twins when they go to hell. That's the same thing.
Yeah, echoes of Persephone and Demeter.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's what it is. Persephone and Demeter. I mixed up my myths. I'm sorry.
No. They're like common motifs. Like everything you've mentioned shares something with all of these.
For sure.
Yeah.
So this is where we kind of get into the Gilgamesh stuff. The Gilgamesh myth comes after all of these. We mentioned Inanna to the Underworld as kind of a prequel. The Gilgamesh myth comes after that. And I won't recap the whole thing because there's a whole episode on it. If you want to listen to it, you can definitely find it. She decides that shepherd husband isn't cutting it. So she proposes to the world's greatest hero, Gilgamesh. He says no, gives her a big list of grievances against her as to why he doesn't want to marry them. Most of them involve the probably true fact that most of her former lovers were either killed or turned into wolves or spiders.
Oh.
Yeah. He mentions these
here.
sex don't survive, but he does mention like everybody all of your former lovers were turned into wolves or spiders or died.
What a coincidence. So this is a red flag for Gilgamesh.
It's a red flag for Gilgamesh, yeah. And so she says, okay. And then she goes to heaven and she's like, I need the bull of heaven, which is basically just like a mythological nuclear weapon, just this giant monster like Godzilla bull that will just flatten Uruk to the ground. The gods are like, no, we can't give you this. This is too powerful. We're not going to let you flatten the city because somebody disrespected you. And she says, quote, if you do not give me the bull of heaven, I will smash the gates of the underworld and raise the dead to devour the living.
Ooh.
Which is a thing she might have power over. And there's some there's some thought that this is where Inanna in the underworld comes from, is that she goes down there to do this.
Oh, okay.
That was like her plan when she went down there. But anyway, she gets the bull of heaven, and Gilgamesh and Enkidu, Gilgamesh's buddy, they kill it. And they think they've won, except that Ishtar is also the goddess of disease and pestilence, famine and death. And then Enkidu just gets sick and dies. And, in our Gilgamesh episode,
is heartbroken.
Yeah. In our Gilgamesh episode, we talked Gilgamesh up a little bit. But at the end of the story, Gilgamesh spends the rest of his life trying to beat death and fails and dies. So Ishtar does win at the end of that story.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, in historical terms, the worship of Ishtar is pretty interesting and unique among, I feel like, cults. The cult of Ishtar had these kind of wild, we talked about Olympias and the cult of Dionysus. And I feel like there's some similarities here with Ishtar.
Yeah. Yeah. Wild ceremonies, drinking, sword fighting. People would get wounded and bleed. And it seems like everything's just a little bit extra.
Everything was a little extra. It started off like a Dionysus thing where they would like get drunk and play music and drink wine and have sex. But Ishtar's also the goddess of death. So like it was encouraged for you to like pull weapons and swing weapons around dramatically as part of the dancing. Let's talk about heavy metal, right? Like you swing swords and then occasionally people would get cut because it's a big group of drunken idiots swinging swords around. But if you got sliced by a sword, that was like awesome because you're like, oh, I'm bleeding. Like Inanna loves this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her priests, she had two different kind of priests, the Kurguru and the Asinu. I think these are probably derived from the creatures that helped her get out of the underworld. They were male priests, but they would take on feminine roles. They would dress like women to perform ceremonies. And Inanna was said to have the power to turn a man into a woman and a woman into a man, which is interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, she was And her symbol, because she rode the chariot with the lions, a lot of the cults would decorate with lions. That was a kind of a motif of Ishtar and Inanna. The Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar II he famously put lions made from blue glazed bricks on the Ishtar gate at Babylon. And you can still see like parts of it, these blue lions. And the Ishtar gates, they're gigantic. They're like 20 feet tall, right? They're humongous gates into Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar is obviously a pretty well-known Babylonian king. He comes from that stock of the Assyrians flaying all of their enemies. The Assyrian kings would pray to Ishtar to break the bows of their enemies in battle and grant them victory. So she is like a war death goddess who threw awesome fun parties and wrote heavy metal lyrics. She is so popular in the Fertile Crescent. She survives. She's kind of conceived during, first worshipped during the Sumerian age, but she survives the fall of Sumer. She survives Babylon. She survives the fall of Assyrian Empire, and is the main goddess in the Middle East for like 3,000 years. The Akkadians worshipped her. The Phoenicians called her Astarte, which always makes me think of like the Space Marines in Warhammer are called the Astartes. It comes from Ishtar. the Astarte, in her Astarte form, she was a huntress as well as she got the meh of hunting, probably also.
Okay. Yeah.
And, people kind of, what ended up happening to her, the Phoenicians and this area ends up becoming assimilated by the Hellenic cultures, and the Greeks absorbed her into their own culture. And she became the basis for Aphrodite, which is a bit of a turn, but in earlier versions of Aphrodite, and like some of the earlier sculptures of Aphrodite, you'll see her wearing a helmet and carrying a spear. And in some of the older versions of her, you can see her have some
echoes of
Ishtarian qualities. And I mean, she does start the Trojan War. So there's that.
Oh, true. Yes. Yep.
So that's the story of Ishtar. And Pat, what's the badass takeaway from this death goddess who went to hell and came back with an army of demons?
Yeah. Well, let's see. Several takeaways, I think. Whatever you do, throw yourself into it all the way.
Yes.
Know your powers. Keep track of your meh.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose as a life lesson, even the baddest ass badasses can be vulnerable sometimes. For example, when you're hanging dead from a meat hook.
Right. I mean, that is the hero story, though, right? In every great action adventure story, the hero is basically almost dead or dies, or there's some scene in every action movie where the main character is like blown up and laying on the ground with their eyes closed, but there's still 20 minutes of runtime left, and they're laying there for like they focus on them for way too long, and it's like, all right, he's gonna open his eyes, it's gonna be fine. Let's get to it. But this is kind of like the first version of that story. This is like the original of that story.
Yeah.
Just dead on a meat hook. That's way worse than what happens to John Wick.
And I guess last but not least, very, very important takeaway. You absolutely, absolutely, absolutely have to hire the best possible assistant you can possibly find and treat them really, really well.
I wholeheartedly agree with this. If you get a good assistant, you hang on to them. You do whatever you got to do to hang on to them.
Yes.
I was working at a job once, and I was working at a medical school, and the medical director changed to a different one, and the outgoing medical director was walking the incoming director through the office, and they came to my desk, and I was the assistant to the medical director, and he was like, "This is Ben." It's like, I don't fully understand everything that he does, but just let him do it and stay out of his way.
Ooh, that's good.
Because they had gone through like 3 or 4 different assistants before I took the job, and apparently it's very easy to send that entire office into, like, it was very easy to, if you did your job poorly, to make everybody's life difficult. And so he's like, I don't know, you came in, my life stopped being difficult, just keep doing that.
Excellent. Yell at demons when necessary.
Right. I mean, do you think Nishapur went to Inanna and was like, there's another demon knocking on the door? No. I was busy. She's a goddess. She's got other stuff to deal with. You send those demons away. Only mention it to her if she comes up later.
Asks for a raise. No.
Right. I did send 7 demons away. I didn't tell you about that, but I did.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's our Babylonian death goddess for today. That's our badass of the week.
Well, death goddess and love goddess.
And love goddess and
war
life
goddess.
Yes.
I mean, come on, give her credit.
That's true. That's true. We do tend to focus on the piles of dead bodies on this.
Well, they are kind of distracting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There were also lots of flowers blooming in this episode too.
Mm-hmm.
Something to think about as we go into March here.
Yes.
All right, Pat, thank you so much for helping me tell the story.
Thank you, Ben. This was fun.
Yes, I'm glad that we were able to turn this into a full episode from a bonus, because I feel like Inanna deserves that. I'm honoring her right now with a glass of red wine.
I'm honoring her in my own humble little way with some non-alcoholic beer, because it's a school night.
Excellent. I'm going to plant some tomatoes in the next couple weeks too, so they'll be double.
Oh yeah, fertility. Yes.
Maybe I'll swing a sword around drunkenly listening to heavy metal later.
Yeah. Maybe you'll learn how to use the met of copperworking or something, or play a tambourine.
That seems more difficult than getting drunk and swinging a sword around.
Fair. Yeah.
We each have to honor Inanna in our own ways.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks to all of you out there for listening to this episode. We hope you learned something about fertility and death. And we do love having you guys here. We hope that you liked it. If you do, please leave us a like and subscribe and all of that good stuff. And we'll see you next week with another badass.
Stay badass.
Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content and $7 Productions. Executive producers are Dwayne Johnson, Danny Garcia, Andrew Jacobs, Hiram Garcia, Brian Gewirtz, Frankie Chaparino, and of course, me, Ben Thompson. Writing is by me and my semi-regular but always awesome co-host, Dr. Patricia Larash. Story editing by Ian Jacobs. Our mixing, music, and sound design is done by the incomparable Jude Brewer. Production support by Jean McHale-Waite. Badass of the Week is based on my website, badassoftheweek.com, where you can read all sorts of stories about other badasses. If you want to reach out with questions or ideas, you can email us at badasspodcast@badassoftheweek.com. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, follow, listen, tell your friends, and tell your enemies. And please leave us a review. If you want to support Badass of the Week, please check out our Patreon page. We'll be back next week with another one.